Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to my first card of the August Holiday Challenge. I'm going to be using my Mama Elephant Femme Frame dies. You can see they're adhered to my magnetic die storage from Stampin' Storage. I'm also using the Simon Says Stamp Deco Trees die set, Favorite Flower stamp set, and some Stampin' Up sequins. So I'm going to start off by taking 3 pieces of Neenah Solar White cardstock. I'm going to cut that inside frame. So I'll have 3 of them, and then I'm going to save the negative from one of them to create the outside frame. Now here's some Fired Brick Distress ink, and I'm using my ink applicator to apply a light layer of this Fired Brick ink. Now if you're using a ink foam applicator like I'm using here, I'm using very, very light pressure, and it's going to apply a light color to your cardstock. If you took the ink pad and put it directly onto your cardstock, you're going to get a much darker color. But in this case I want a really light color because I'm going to be stamping right on top of that with the same ink. And so that'll give me a tone-on-tone look. So I'm going to work my way all the way around these edges to get a nice even coverage. And I'm going to take this medium swirly from the Favorite Flower set, and I'm using the same Fired Brick ink, and I'm just going to randomly place these all the way around the frame. It gives a really cool look. And I'm being careful not to stamp the same area of the swirly every time, so sometimes I'm moving it a little bit to the right, to the left, up and down, and using just the edges just to give a little variety so that it doesn't look like a uniform stamp all the way around. And that's going to be my card edge. Next I'm going to take my Deco Trees die. You can see it's a really intricate die, so I'm going to be using my precision plate, which is made for intricate dies, to have a little bit more pressure. And I'm going to put that on one of the frames that I cut out at the beginning. I'm going to center it here, and because the precision plate is steel, it's actually going to remove the magnetic attraction between the die and my magnetic platform. So I'm just going to use some surgical tape to hold it in place while I run it through my Big Shot. Now you can see here it cuts a really nice clean cut. And this swirl, all these swirlies are kind of difficult, and I found after going through a few of these, don't pull it to the side because it gets all kind of worked into the swirly, the negative edge plus the cut. So if you just, here I am pushing it straight through the middle and just popping it out, it comes out really easy that way. So you can see how this die cut is really interesting, and those swirlies sort of pop up off the page if you want them to, or you can hold them down with a little bit of adhesive. I know there's that stitched border around this frame, but I decided that I wanted something a little bit more prominent. So I took my Copic liner in 0.3 and a ruler, and I'm just going around the edges here, and I'm stopping at about 1/8 of an inch in from each edge to make sure that my lines connect. And it's kind of hard to do it. I usually actually put the line all the way out to the edge, but because the stitching was there I couldn't do that. But I just fixed a little bit of the edge that didn't meet when I was done. Next I'm going to take another one of those frames I cut at the beginning and some pine needles distress ink. You can see I'm priming my applicator on a piece of scratch paper, and this really helps to make sure you avoid a lot of those rectangular blocks, because I know my pine needles distress ink pad is pretty juicy and I don't want too much ink on my applicator, but by doing a little bit of priming it really helps. Not totally, it's not going to remove it all, but it'll help. So in this situation where there's a lot of ink on your ink pad, and I used this last week or a couple of videos ago, is just kind of twisting. So using a twisting motion with your hand and your applicator, you can almost create a whole bunch of different blocks that all run into each other, and it looks nice and smooth. I'm just checking to make sure I have enough coverage to do the whole tree, because this panel is going to go directly behind my die cut tree. Alright, now that that's done, I'm going to take a piece of Neenah cardstock that's about 1 inch by 4.5 inches. I'm going to score it down the middle at 1/2 inch and really crease that down to make sure it's nice and flat. I'm going to use this piece to connect the 2 panels. I'm going to line the inside left with my ATG tape runner, and this side is going to go on the top of my pine needles panel. So I'm going to put it in there, close it down, and really press hard to make sure that it's really secured there. And then I'll take the right inside of this folded piece, put some ATG tape runner on it, and I'll take my remaining third white panel and I'll lay it in there and close it down and make sure that these are really secured together. I'm going to take my bone folder and just really make sure that it's pressed down securely. My Deco Trees panel is going to be on top of this pine needles panel, so I'm going to put some Scotch foam tape to pop it up a little bit. And I'll place it right there and make sure it's centered. So all these three pieces are aligned, and it's what is going to be the main part of the card. So you can see how it opens up nice and neatly. Now this is some Stampin' Up! Sequins. It has stars, circles, hearts in silver, gold, black, clear, and white. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of these pieces, and actually after I grabbed them I decided I was going to wait until I put the card together to put them on. So to assemble this card, I'm going to take the actual opening portion, place it inside my red outside frame, grab my surgical tape, and what I'm going to do is flip this over, because if I try to put these two pieces onto a piece of flat cardstock, it's going to be really hard to get them lined up without any space between my frame and the card. So I'm going to adhere them together before I actually put it on the base. So this surgical tape is going to go on the back, which is why I flipped it over, and I'll make sure that there's absolutely no space between my card and this outside frame. And I'm only going to do it on 3 sides because that 4th side is pretty thick and it's kind of hard to do. So as long as I've got 3 sides, it should be fine. So I'm going to really put a lot of tape runner on this piece here, and then I'll adhere it to a single card base. So that's just 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. I'm going to use my pick-me-up stick for the sequins. It has a sticky side, and then the other side you can pull out this acrylic piece. It's got a chisel tip on one side and a pointy tip on the other side to help you remove your objects from the sticky point. I've got some multi-matte medium because it dries matte, so I won't have any glossy leakage outside my sequins. And I like to put my glue on the cardstock and then put the object on the glue. So here's the star for the top. I just grabbed the star out of the package, place it on there. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing with these other pieces, and I'm going to cover up these white areas in my Deco tree. So I'm just going to put some glue down, and then I'll use my pick-me-up stick to pick up one of the sequins, and I'll show you how I remove it from the sticky part with the other part of the stick here. So here's my chisel tip, and I'm going to just hold it down there while I take the sticky. This one was kind of hard to do, I'm not sure why, but I'm going to push it down there so that my sequin stays on the glue. And I'm just going to repeat this process for the rest of these sequins. And you can see, I don't know why it didn't come off so easy the first time, but it comes off pretty easily. And sometimes I have a hard time sticking to the sequins because they're a little slippery, but if I kind of move my stick a little bit to an angle, it seems to be easier to pick up. And that's the card for today. So kind of a little bit of a different fold here with the front popping open, and you could put your message on the inside there. So just something interesting. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.